I am on session number 12, page 47 in Handbook for the New Paradigm, Volume 1. And we just begin. We find it interesting that the forces of evil are putting forth a dual effort. The ethnic and racial differences between individuals and group are being stressed and agitated, while at the same time you are being forced into, quote, a one world government. This, of course, is not without planning. It is for the purpose of creating chaos and confusion within the psyche. In actuality, this serves our purposes also. It is a great deal easier to create from chaos than it is to bring it about within a stable, static environment. There are a great many planets that are highly developed within the wonderful adaptation and adoption of the universal laws. If this is such a wonderful state, then the question is, why focus the opportunity of transcendence of such magnitude as is being hinged upon this process through a planet that is in the gross experience of this one? The answer is that it is the chaotic energy that offers the greatest potential for this particular process. That which you call God has not, quote, created your dilemma, but it is his creation, and certainly he can participate in the potential that it offers, much to your benefit, we might add. We are offering as many perspectives to this situation as possible so that you might have as much understanding as possible. It is necessary that you rise above the stressful awareness that much suffering is being experienced by many of your fellow human beings that have incarnated upon this planet now. This is so that you can perceive from a level of perception that will allow you to have a, quote, God's eye view from which to conceive your plans. The conception of the one world government by the opposition also serves a purpose. Many of the incarnated beings have indeed put aside the nationalistic views they once had and are thinking in terms of global inclusiveness. The project plan will be one that will appeal to more than those in the USA. Of necessity, it must be a plan of planetary scope. Necessarily, its beginning is focused here, but the total picture must be of global intent. There will be a particular intensity of chaos that will be the pivotal time for change, either for them or for us. Thus, the timing for the creation and the birthing into the awareness of this plan, or dream, as we have previously called it, is critical. In the nebulous, unformed stage of the process, the word dream seems more appropriate in that a plan indicates something already in thought form. This is not yet the case, and also keeps it in the mindset of a more playful and creative format. It does not carry the heavy responsibility emphasis for the participating groups. It is intended to promote as much possibility thinking in the broadest possible ways. Good gosh, I could not agree more. In the beginning phases, there must be no thoughts of boundaries. Remember that we are not to consider the actions or the reactions of the other side. We are going to be dreaming within little known possibilities. Therefore, all things are possible. The contingent plans of the other side can only work in their known reality. You are going to be setting up a reality that is far outside anything that they have even considered. It is this level of creativity that we are striving to encourage you to reach. This is creativity that will supersede and stretch beyond the current reality. Can you do this? Of course. Why do you think we tried out possible contingency plans? These are available for you in the etheric fields, not for the intention of you to choose one of them, but merely as beginning points for you to exercise your imaginations. Remember, your imagination is the entry point to the mind of God, that's in quotes, which is infinite potentiality. The invocation of his presence, his and presence are capitalized, when, quote, two or more are present. I just had a conversation with somebody yesterday afternoon where I used that phrase again myself. The invocation of his presence when two or more are present is true to the degree you limited ones have not yet perceived. Any preconceived ideas individual members of these groups may have considered are to be used only as beginning points. No applicable possibility has as yet been conceived. This may challenge some egos in the early stages of participation, but this is a critical time in the education of egos. These observer parts of third dimensional existence must be encouraged to enter into the imagining process, and through this, they will experience their true purpose. Even the ego will find joy within this process, for in experiencing its true role, it shall desire to experience more of this joy. Oh my gosh, that's what I've been saying, man. I'm telling y'all, this is so awesome to me. Indeed, it is not an entity of separate identity, but is a very active aspect of the human experience that has received far too much emphasis within the complex union of soul extension energies. I have to agree. I had such trouble with the whole thing about the ego. Back to the book. Yet we must credit this distortion with the creation of this planetary opportunity. So from that perspective, this activity has contributed in its own unique way. God can turn anything into a purposeful synergy to benefit the whole. More faith on the part of mankind to the reality of this truth would be of great assistance to them in this project. The understanding of how individuals experiencing this incarnation fit into the cosmic scheme of things is a little like reading a corporate organization chart. However, this one would be amazingly complex for you to understand in totality, for it does not follow the logical responsibility pattern of heavy at the top. Can you conceive of equality from top to bottom, of something that has no top and no bottom? Stretches the logic of it, does it not? Does it make sense? Of course not. No, wait a minute. Of course it does when linear sequence is not an essential parameter. How could a group accomplish anything without sequence being necessary? Quite well, I assure you. How can things manifest without a beginning or an end? Amazingly, you think that it must begin as it appears in the formation of a baby. What appears to be the process in third dimension begins in the etheric. The unseen part of the process is a complete being and already exists at the moment of conception. From completeness in one dimension, it manifests in your reality. A flower was not brought into manifestation from a plant cell, but was conceived in its wholeness, not only in appearance, but also in process. Will your group be responsible for the conception of the process of what needs to be accomplished to change this earthly dilemma? Why do you think so many, quote, etheric beings are present? We are here to help you with the unseen processes needed. Once the skeletal outline is in place, in a form that will bring the desired results, then you will not be able to imagine the activity that will take place, all focused toward a splendid moment of creation. Are you being supported through this process? You had better believe it. But it all hangs on the initiation by humanity of actively creating its own destiny through changing its perception of the ideal. In fact, because of the chaos and confusion in the creation of an ideal. Well, that has to be marked for discussion in the book group. Hold down. I think this entire, because boy, oh boy, that is huge right there. May the energy that awaits the initiation of the process in small part fill your experience. You are much appreciated, and all possible support encompasses you this day. Be of good cheer as you go about your seemingly mundane tasks. Nothing in the lives of humans shall remain mundane for long. Again, this was published in 2018. I really feel like these words are actually, well, I guess in my reality, they actually would be manifesting now, as I have known about this book since 2020 or 2021, maybe, but I wasn't drawn to begin reading it until now. And going along for me in the terms of abundance being exactly what you need, exactly when you need it, meaning everything. Well, okay, well that's the end of chapter 11. Now or chapter 12. Going to jump right into chapter number 13, or I should say session number 13. The energies as projected by those that would ensnare the inhabitants of Earth in its plans to change the destiny of this planet moves in ever-tightening circles as they attempt to incorporate the wheels within wheels that constitute a partial understanding of the cycles of creation. They are oh so careful to check each cog so that none are out of sequence. Linear thought is still the basis of their game. This sounds or feels, not just sounds, but feels entirely huge there. So I need a different highlighter, I think. Linear thought is still the basis of their game. For there is no spiraling toward evolutionary change. Evolution is the term given to change in your language. There is a lack of understanding what the process is. What are they evolving toward? The enslavement of the remaining population is the goal. But for what purpose? A stagnant utopia? What makes them think that the universe could or would support them in that process? To rebel against the process of creation is one possibility, but to maintain themselves outside of the focus of creation would incorporate an ever-escalating process within its totality, and it is doomed for failure. To hijack a planet is one thing. To create an anti-universe is indeed grandiose, for there would be no other way. From where would that kind of energy come? Do they plan to hijack an entire universe? I doubt that which you call God is so impotent as to allow that. Again, I say, quote, welcome to the winning side. This may seem impossible to believe in view of the above comments. From one perspective, that kind of arrogance is humorous. Of course, it is not for those experiencing the day-to-day flexing of the muscles of their power and viewing it from the basis of third-dimensional experience. I'm going to pause right there because, boy, is that true. We hear that a lot, right? But also, there's a lot of puzzle pieces that seem to be coming together as I read this, right? This thing here about, evolving toward that. Do they plan to hijack an entire universe? Well, that lends credence to the idea that star seeds, and I'm using that in quotations, have actually entered the game. The volunteers have entered the game from the same manner as everyone else, to change it from the inside, because that's the only way to do it. So back to the book now. To bring a transition in the human consciousness, the largest view possible is necessary for those who would envision this change. Perhaps change is not the best term, for it implies merely readjusting that which already exists. This has been tried before in other opportunities to outwit the adversary. I started to do that, but that's not what that is. It's not quotations. Obviously, it didn't work, or you would not be facing this situation. This time, you must go a step farther in your refusal to play the game according to their rules. Boy, again, this is so interesting to me, because just yesterday, I said, I don't have to show up and play somebody's game if I don't want to. I have free will. I can walk away. And I know, especially right now, everybody looks around and says, but wait a minute, we're still using this over here and that over here and that over there, and you can't get around that. True, but I don't have to play. I decide how I play. And I don't have to, this is what I now know for myself. So very interesting that this comes up again. I'm going to read that again. This time you must go a step farther in your refusal to play the game according to their rules. You must change your tactics completely so as to cause their plans to be as impotent as they have schemed to make you. You must transcend those plans. Much ado has been made for, quote, ascending and for, quote, rapture. Well, this indeed shall be our version of that, except, quote, Jesus will not do it for you. You must do more than claim to be a, quote, Christian. It will not be necessary to get your hands dirty in the blood of your enemy. Neither shall you be required to turn the other cheek and look away as he does as he wills, for you shall have plans of your own that will employ God's methods that you have until now forgotten. Wow, I got something large on that. I'm going to mark that here. The Armageddon of their vision shall never occur. There shall be an Armageddon, but it shall be played out on a different field, and there shall be no conflict as has been envisioned for you. Oh my gosh, that's huge. I've had visions of actual battles, but they are not occurring here in this particular realm. They are occurring, but they are not occurring here. We're not seeing them. I feel I've had a couple of dreams where I know I was involved in something like that, because everything really truly is happening all at once. And wow, okay, hold on, stop. It's like I'm being flooded with a whole bunch of well, that's happening pretty quick. Okay, so that's a download. Your desire for delivery and your will to thwart these puffed up antagonists to creation shall be guided to fruition along paths of remembering. This shall bring forth the elements of the spiral of evolution. This will not leave me, so I'm going to say it here. Those of you that have been following me and Lisa, my housemate, Lisa Flamino Rush, for some time will know. She has said this before on my very first channel and many times in conversations. There was a time when in another realm, there was an entity that had been harassing her for years and years and years, causing not only things in that realm, but causing things to be experienced in this realm. She experienced this entity as a demon. And in a final facing with said demon, her smaller observer observed her larger self deliver a packet of love to the demon and said, "You have a choice. Give up your ways, come home to love, or return to the central sun to be recycled." And was the sort of gist. There weren't any words. This is, and I'm paraphrasing. So, but she experienced this being going and in molecules and then moving away. She could see that he didn't choose to integrate. She knew that that was a part of her, and it was come home to love and let's move forward or return to the central sun. Now, that sure sounds like some of this, and for me is why love is our superpower, I feel. So I'm going to read this part again. Your desire for delivery and your will to thwart these puffed up antagonists to creation shall be guided to fruition along paths of remembering. This shall bring forth the elements of the spiral of evolution that are missing from their carefully laid plans. Fear not, for you have on your side the energies that create solar systems, galaxies, universes, and cosmos. Indeed, all that is. Could you ask for more support? It is not that it has been lacking during the previous opportunities, but that the cleverness and focus of the antagonists have planned carefully to bring this action to a planned point of implementation at the moment of coinciding cycles. This they believe to be a point of vulnerability. Indeed, however, at those points of cycle endings, the Creator has planned opportunity for his holographic fragments to take advantage of the spiral acceleration that is potentially present. Now, again, published in 2018, I feel this spiraling, what did it say here? Spiral acceleration. I feel the acceleration. Let's just put it that way. I'm sure many do. Indeed, however, at those points of cycle endings, the Creator has planned opportunity for his holographic fragments to take advantage of the spiral acceleration that is potentially present. Attention is energetically focused toward that process, which allows for those who will take advantage of the opportunity. Knowing what you need to know exactly when you need to know it really fits that, doesn't it? Thank you. I just heard, yes, relaxing into me. That's what my whole guidance has been since really the beginning of the year when the conversation of death took place for me. This has been a very simplistic explanation of this unique situation. Indeed, history will be written in the annals of this planet. The pot boils, the steam builds, and the universe holds its breath as the moment approaches. Could the process fail? No, but the degree of advantage taken within the opportunity shall affect all within this universe. Remember that the Creator focus uses all within the flow of ever-moving energy in creation. Chaos is especially pregnant with opportunity for change. It's kind of interesting to me because that Netflix program that I've been nudged to view, The Witcher, that is what they call magic, chaos energy. Think somebody over at Netflix might know a thing? Think they're trying to tell a thing? You know, in a perhaps little slanted way. They never tell the full truth. They cannot do that. However, they do reveal things in those ways. Back to the book now. I'm going to read that again, though. Chaos is especially pregnant with opportunity for change. It is not to put pressure on you that this knowledge is being shared, but to add to your understanding of the opportunity that is being brought into the situation that appears so hopeless. Not only that, but to perhaps broaden the idea of what actually is possible and realize that we put our own thoughts into boxes because that's what we've been taught to do. You must have your eyes open and use your ability to observe and analyze the actions that are taking place about you. The avatars of the past have planted the seeds of understanding that lie dormant within human awareness. It is time to stimulate these seeds into sprouting and growth toward a maturation of third-dimensional experience. Those that can accept this stimulation will, and those who cannot shall be given other opportunities. Shall any fragments be destroyed? all fragments of the Creator's awareness must be accounted for. Those aspects that have chosen to experience extreme imbalance are put into a space that is something like exile. It is not a burning hell as used to frighten you into submission, but in a space of separation to consider and to contemplate, beyond knowing that this experience exists. It is unnecessary to know more, for it is between those and their own inner spirit. Will those that brought this to bear and those that chose not to share the opportunity be judged? Judgment has been a word used to conjure up failure and guilt. Release that concept. It is another of the tools used to control you, for instead, at the closure of this experience, there is a releasing process, a review, and a time for the soul, and in parentheses here, source of each human focused into experience, to assimilate these experiences into the matrix of its totality. The experiencing focus cannot measure the impact of its life experience upon the matrix of the totality of that which focused it. It is that which focuses contemplating itself. It would be self-condemnation for judgment to take place. Self-condemnation does not exist in higher dimensions. There is a world of difference between self-condemnation and self-contemplation. Condemnation and judgment are synonyms. This message is given in love. It is for enlightenment within the experience of communion with the flow of creation. It is intended to bring you to the awareness of being within its flow. That is exactly where you are. And that's the end of chapter 13. So we will end this one here and pick up right away in the next one. Be well, everyone.